Hi Umesh, lovely to see you again once again in such a beautiful place. You've been coming here for quite some time. Like you've been here since a regular since the first year. I was just wondering, and you've been curating the short films section. So if we just talk about the kind of films that you're curating and what is the ideology behind that and thought behind that.
First, I came to DIF when they were presenting their first edition. That time we presented Deul, and I was very happy to come here and to this festival because for last few years since I started making short films and feature films, I am going to lots of festivals internationally, also in India. And my idea of festival is always where you meet different filmmakers, you see each other's films, you talk about films, and there is a very kind of intimate, cozy atmosphere where you get the space to talk to other filmmakers, to understand what is actually happening, how in a way we all are connected in one way or the other, and the themes that are kind of coming in that particular year. So it's always a good thing to go to a festival and present your film to the audience, which is local audience, and then connect to audience which you otherwise don't get chance to. So in that sense, the program, because this festival is mainly organized by Ritu and Tenzin, who are filmmakers themselves. So they have also shown their documentaries all around the world. So they know a lot of filmmakers. So their curation and their selection I really like, which you would not find it in other festivals. That is one thing. The other thing is it's such a great place, and the vibe of this place is very good. People are not just running. It's a very small, cozy festival, so there are only 2 screenings at one time. And so first time when I came, I really met Hansel and other filmmakers. Got a chance to really interact with them, which hardly happens in the big festivals, because most of the times you're running and there are markets, and the markets are really overpowering the main essence of the film festivals. So that's why I thought these kind of smaller festivals will make much more difference to the audience as well as the filmmakers, because then they don't have to keep running. They also get chance to watch films, and normally we also see films from like international films, and we always feel that we'll see the Indian films later on, because we'll get the chance to watch the Indian films, and then
that never happens.
See them. So here I also get a possibility to watch the films, the Indian films.
And about
from second year, I thought let me do something for this wonderful festival. So I offered them that I will do the curation for the short films, like a 1-2 hour program. Because I had come here for the first time, I was aware of the kind of audience which comes. It's a very diverse audience. There are a lot of international tourists who are here and who are around. They come, and then there are some people from Delhi, because they're in Delhi now. There's no film festival, and it's not very far. So some people, journalists from Delhi, they come, and then there are these local people who are also coming. So in a way, I was trying to find themes. I decided that I'll only program Indian short films, because we don't get that kind of scope to showcase Indian short films outside. It's a format which I love a lot. I think the kind of experimentation, the kind of themes which you can see in Indian short films, they're very unique, and in terms of styles, in terms of the subjects, in terms of the experimentation. So I really I also started this short film club in Pune. So it's a kind of extension of that. And every time I'm trying to program not just the best short films, but which will also kind of bring together the short films from different genre. And sometimes also the films are not great, but the way they have made, if that is unique, then I also kind of try to incorporate that. So this year I tried to bring together the first short films which come from a very personal space. So these 2 Haryanvi short films, we have never seen a space of Haryana.
Right.
And these two short films are made by Haryanvi students.
Right.
So they know the space very well, and there is a unique style that they bring to these films. The film, which is about honor killing, it's made by a girl who lives in Haryana. So I was quite curious to know, what is her point of view and how she sees that. And it's a different thing when someone from outside goes and makes a film in Haryana about honor killing,
Right.
and a girl from Haryana making a film. So that's why I chose those two Haryanvi films, which I felt they're unique in their styles. Then there is this documentary film school which has started. It's a 1-year program.
Where is
in
that?
Delhi.
Okay.
And there was this girl from Bangladesh who had come for that program, and then she made a film about Delhi. And it's a very, in a way, experimental. At the same
Right.
time, it's very, very personal. So I was quite
Very interesting film. Yeah.
curious to know how she has actually done that. All these three films, the reason was also to motivate the young filmmakers who come there to extend their way of looking at short films,
Right.
and create stories of their own. Something which is not really, like many times you feel by watching the films, the short films which has huge budgets and which are really very, very well made. They make people or young filmmakers think that, oh, this is very difficult. Like you shouldn't do it because see what people are doing. So I really wanted them to come forward and tell their own stories in as small like maybe it's a smaller scale, but still you put across your idea. And
Right.
that's the reason I kind of presented these three films. And along with that, I also wanted to juxtapose the films which are in like they are kind of successful in festivals or with audience. So that's why I showed Ahilya.
Yeah.
All these films are in a way interconnected. They also kind of bring forward what is happening in India, in cities and in villages, which kind of gives, of course, India is a huge place, and it's very difficult to get a glimpse of India in 2 hours. But still, I try to kind of our association with our myths, our mythology, and so Ahilya was about that.
Right.
Then the film that we showed, like Makhi, which I directed, it's about this people who come from smaller cities to the mega cities, and the whole corporatization and the whole way of life, and how they try to adjust to that way of life, and this whole dichotomy and the distance between two classes. So which I feel that it talks about today's India. And then there was this experimental film which
NIT
is
students.
kind of which is made by this Imon, which explores the this new trend of like interacting with the media, interacting with the image, and trying to explore something which is which when I went to Oberhausen some years back, I realized that like this storytelling is moving in various directions, and there is a lot of experimentation in terms of the form which is also happening, which we hardly see here, especially in Indian short films.
Right.
So that's how I kind of I make a point that like some animation, some documentaries, some experimental films, and some pure narrative shots.
Right, so
I
mix
kind
of everything.
So in every session we kind of get exposed to different ways one can tell one's own story.
Right.
So
Right.
that is my kind of point of view, or like my way of looking at this program.
Right. Could you just talk a bit about the fellowship program that you are kind of mentoring here?
Yeah, so they started this fellowship program, I think, since last year. It's a very good initiative. They kind of call for entries from young
Hilly states.
filmmakers from like hills,
Right.
who actually want to tell the stories of hills, and who don't get that kind of exposure in terms of they're not mainly, most of them, they're not from film schools, but
Right.
they really want to express their ideas, the way of their the way they think about their surroundings through films. So they bring together all these 5 filmmakers, whom they select out of some 25-30 entries which they get, and then they come here and then they have a mentorship where they actually see a lot of films which are shown here, and they also understand they can meet the directors, they can understand what exactly is happening around the world.
Right.
And this mentoring is in 2-3 days. You can't really start a new project, but they have lots of questions in their minds, like how things work, how things work here, which are the like film schools, or are there. So all these questions which are in their mind. So me and this Anupama, we both are mentoring. So we try to kind of answer their questions, queries, and also try to make them open to what all is happening in different styles of filmmaking and short film.